my channel. I am Kathy and this is Kathy's Country Life. Today I am making beef stew. It is chilly here in Alabama. And I just thought that would be just some good, comforting, warm, belly-filling meal for us to have tonight. So I'm just getting things ready. I'm peeling some carrots. I've got my meat cubed up. I'll go over that a little bit later. I am saving all of my scraps from the veggies in order to make some beef broth. I'll just stick it all in the freezer because I do have some bones from the chuck roast that I cut up. This morning I went ahead and mixed up some no-knead bread. I've got it sitting and proofing and fermenting because I thought that would just be so good with a big bowl of hearty beef stew and this crusty, delicious bread. If you haven't seen how I make that bread, I do have a video on it and I will link it down below so y'all can see it. It's perfect if you're if you've never baked bread before. That's the perfect recipe to start out with. And it may give you a false sense of security in bread making because it is so easy. But it's a great bread to start out with and it is just so delicious. It's very close to a sourdough bread, but without having to go through the starter and all that. You mix up everything and you let it ferment all day, overnight, however you want to do it, at least 8 hours. And it gets that bubbly sourdough texture to it. So anyway, I'll link that video below if you want to see. It's a go-to around here. So I'm just prepping. I've got my meat cut up. I'm cutting up some carrots. I'm going to cut up some onions. I realized that I didn't have any mushrooms, and so Chris had to go to town, so he's going to go by and pick me up some mushrooms. And when I get all this done and he gets back with mushrooms, I'm going to show you how I make my beef stew. So y'all stay tuned. Okay, I'm back. Hubby brought back stuff that I needed. I got everything chopped and we are ready to go. Okay, in here I have got about 3.5 pounds of chuck roast. You can buy stew meat if you want. I just, I like to buy a chuck roast and do it myself and cube it up. And I do it in pretty big cubes. I just like big chunky stew. So I do it, and of course this is going to shrink up when it cooks and stuff. It won't be a bite this big. But I like to do it in pretty good cubes. I like to do a chuck roast because it has got the fat and the marbling throughout it, and you need that. You need it to be a tender meat. This is going to be a longer cooking stew, and you need the fats and all that to break down and make the meat tender. If you try to get a London broil, a sirloin roast, anything, a real lean roast, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be as tender. So you need beef that's got marbling through it. I choose a chuck steak. It's a cheaper cut, and I had these in my freezer already, so bonus. So I've got 3.5 cups here. I'm going to bring you down here and we'll get started. Let's see if I can move you around so you can see. Okay, first I'm going to season up the meat. And I've just got some salt. I've got about a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon. Then I've got just black pepper. I'm not measuring this. I'm just getting it coated. And we're going to give this a stir. the bug man's here, and I hear him out my kitchen window right behind me, like he goes through and he gets all the cobwebs and stuff off the porches and windowsills. And I hear him on my window out here, so I bet he's looking in here going, what is she doing? Okay. Alright. Now we are going to get some flour. Just using all-purpose flour. And I'm just sprinkling a handful. I guess I could give you measurements. That was probably quarter cup. I want to get it all coated in the flour because what I want to do is I want to put this in my pot and brown it. Get a little caramelization on there, which just adds to the flavor. I'm going to do another pinch. And the flour also helps to thicken up the stew. Okay. My dog's barking at him. Okay. Looks divine, looks divine. I'm gonna bring you over to my stove now. Okay, I've got a big Dutch oven out. I don't remember how many quarts this is. 7 quart Dutch oven. That was heavy. And what I've got in here is some of my ghee that I had canned with y'all. This is the jar I keep on my, and I have like a big tablespoon in here, and I just put a couple of tablespoons of the ghee. You can use, when you're browning your meat, you can use any light oil. Don't do olive oil, it's going to burn. Avocado oil, vegetable oil, whatever type that you like would fry, pan fry something in. Use that. I'm using my ghee because of the flavor and because it has a high smoke point. It's not going to burn. So just turn the eye on, and we are, sorry I got so close to the microphone, I got loud there a bit. I'm going to let this brown up. And I'm going to have to do my meat in batches because it's not, I'm going to have to do it in batches because I don't want to crowd the pan. I do want to get browning on here. I did get out my big huge cast iron skillet and I thought, well, I'll just brown that up, but you want those bits in here. You want to deglaze this after, you know, it's all browned up, and so you need to really do it in the same pot. So I don't have a big huge pot to do this in, so we're going to use this one, and this actually has a smaller bottom on it than the top, kind of goes down like that. So we're going to do this in batches. I'm going to let the ghee melt, and then I'll bring you back while we're frying this up, or browning it up I should say. Okay. I'm putting them in here, and I'm not going to get them real close and crowd them. I'm leaving a little bit of space between them. Oh, come on. And my belly keeps hitting the stove. Okay, we're going to let this brown for minute on one side, flip it over and let that brown up. Alrighty, this is the last batch. All this brown goodness in here, that's gold. That's where the flavor is. Okay. Now then, if you keep wine in your house and you cook with wine, this is where you would add a cup of wine and deglaze the bottom. I don't have any wine in the house, so what I'm using is a cup of water with just like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. We're just going to deglaze the pan, and then we'll add the meat back in. And this is going to get all that goodness off the bottom. And the wine or the water with the vinegar is not for taste, it's for the acidity to help break down the meat. Any cartilage, anything like that, it just makes it all over a more tender stew. Okay, and now I'm going to start adding beef broth. You can use store-bought in a carton. You can mix up some beef bouillon and water, however you want to do it, but this is a quart. And I think I'm going to need another quart. Got a fat ring on there that's keeping it from coming out, and I'm just going to hold on to that fat ring and not put that in there since we're using a fatty meat anyway. Okay. Hold on, let me wipe my hand. Okay, and into this, I'm going to add a half of the bay leaf. So that's one, because that one was half. And these are little. See if I can find a bigger one. They're easier to pull out when you have a bigger one. Yeah. Okay, so like 2 good size bay leaves. Give this a stir. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the heat up. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to lower the heat, put the lid on, and we're going to simmer this for about an hour and a half. This is solely for the meat. You don't want to add your vegetables in at this point because they'll turn to mush. They'll be real mushy. So after this gets to simmering for about an hour and a half, then we are going to add the veggies. I'll be back with you. Oh. If you want to add garlic, add garlic. Garlic is not usually a flavor that you put into beef stew that I know of. Maybe it is. But we like garlic, so I'm adding some garlic for a little extra flavor. If you don't think that that would taste good to you, then don't do it. In the original recipe, it does not call for garlic. Hey, this has been simmering for about an hour, so we got about another 30 minutes to go on that. But I'm going to go ahead and get the bread going. It has been proofing and in my oven with the light on for about 9 hours. So I think we're good to go. That's what it looks like. It's all bubbly and awesome looking. I've just turned my oven on to 450, and I've put my Dutch oven in. Now I have done a video on this, so if this is a repeat for some of y'all, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to work on this and I'll just bring you along with me. I'm going to bring you down. Sprinkle. This is my my pastry mat that I had gotten from Temu. That is awesome. So Just going to pour the dough out. And it is a very sticky, tacky dough. If you haven't watched my other video, it's really easy. You just mix it up in a bowl. It's 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of active dry yeast, 3/4 to 1 cup of warm water, and you just mix it all together in this bowl. And when you get a wet, shaggy dough, you just cover it up and let it ferment. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'm not kneading it, I'm just doing a pull on all 4 sides. Like this. I'm going to put it in a ball. And I'm just going to take the bowl that it was in, turn it over on here, and I'm going to let it rest while my oven is preheating. And then I'm going to go wash my hands. Yeah. Okay, the oven just preheated. I'm going to sprinkle some more flour on top. A good coating of flour, and then I'm just going to take a knife and score it like so. Let me get the Dutch oven out. Ooh-wee, it's hot. And some people put their no knead bread on a piece of parchment. I don't. I just plop it in. And then be careful with the lid because it is super hot. Oh, I'm in a precarious situation here, okay? Okay, I'm going to put it into the oven for 30 minutes, and then it's about time for us to work on our vegetables. So let's go over here to the stove and we'll see how this is looking. Oh, smells amazing. Just amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to add to this is I have got about 2.5 cups of roughly chopped onions, and they're in pretty big pieces. I've got about 2.5 cups of chopped up carrots. Hope I got room in here for all this. And I've got 3.5 cups of potatoes. Ooh. And 2 packages of 8 ounces each mushrooms. This is gonna be full. It's okay. Once the mushrooms, you know, they'll shrink down a lot. So once all this gets to cooking, we'll get some shrinkage on all the veggies. And there'll be more room. Now I am adding frozen English peas to this, but not yet. That'll be the last thing after this cooks for a little while longer. Trying to just get it stirred up. Some people like to put those pearl onions, the frozen pearl onions, in their beef stew. I don't like those. I don't like the texture of them. I don't know what it is, but I've never liked those little frozen pearl onions. But if you're using those, not put those in right yet. You would put those in when you put your peas in, because they're frozen and they're already kind of mushy, so they don't need to cook to soften up. They just need warmed through like the peas. Okay. So I'm going to turn the heat up, bring this up to a boil, and when I get to a boil, then I'm going to turn it back down to a simmer. I'm going to put the lid back on it, and we're going to go for about 30 more minutes. And then we'll take a look at that. So probably about the time that, in 30 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off of the bread and let it cook for about 15-20 minutes without the lid on. So about the time that I'm going to pull the lid off the bread, we'll take a look at this too and see if our veggies are all cooked up. And like I said, I'm going to sit here and let it come to a boil before I cover it up. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes. I took the lid off of the bread about 10 minutes ago, and the carrots and the potatoes, they've still got a firmness. They're not all the way done like I would want them to be. So I kind of just cranked the heat up. I took the lid off, and I'm going to see if some of this liquid will reduce down and finish cooking the potatoes and carrots. So that's the stage that we're at right now, and so I will bring you back in just a few minutes while I'm going to let this go probably about another 10 minutes. Okie dokie. The vegetables have gotten tender, and it's going to cook for a little while longer, so I think we're good to go. Now, to thicken this, usually I just take some cornstarch and water, mix it together and do a slurry and put it in. But I saw this on a video where you take, let me get it, a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of flour. You mix it together, form a ball, and you plop that in. So we're going to try this. I don't know if it's going to work, but I thought I would try it and see how well it thickens. I may still have to get my old slurry mixture out, because I do like a thick stew. But we'll just see. We're going to stir that all around. After I did this, and I'm inserting a video in here of how I did it, but I put it in the refrigerator. And I don't know if I should have done that just to keep it, I don't know. I don't know why I put it in the refrigerator, but I put it in the refrigerator. So it's a cold ball of butter and flour. And I can tell it's thickening it some. Uh-oh, time to get the bread out. Okay, I'll show you all the bread in a minute. I don't think it thickened it as much as I would want to. So I've got some tapioca starch that I've just mixed up with some water. I'm just going to pour some of that in. Let's see if we can get it a little bit thicker. Yeah, I can just tell I'm stirring it. The resistance. Put a little more. Put the rest of it in. Okay, that'll be good. I'm gonna go ahead and do my green peas. This is a 12-ounce bag. I'm not so sure. I'm going to do about half of that bag. Yep, that looks good. Got a pea fell out. Okay, so now we want the peas to get warmed all the way through. And like I said, if you like to use those little frozen pearl onions, this would be when you put those in also. Okay. I'm gonna put the top back on. Turn it down to low. And I'm going to leave it there until we're ready to eat. I'll bring you over here and let you look at the bread. Dun, 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 dun. Is it not just the most beautiful rustic thing you've ever seen? I'm telling you, if you've never baked bread before, check this out. Make it for a loved one. Make it to take it somewhere, and people will think that you are the bomb. That you are a bakery chef. Okay, I'll bring y'all back when I'm ready to get it all plated up. Okay, y'all, it is all done. It is ready. Let me get my thing out of my ear. And I'll bring you down so you can see it better. But this is going to be delicious. Hang on, I'll bring you down. And my bread is going to be so good. I had to get a bite of that bread. It's just crunchy on the outside and soft and chewy on the inside. I'm going to be dipping it in my beef stew. But thanks again for joining me. I hope that you will try this recipe. I think everybody has their own like beef stew recipe, but this is mine. I will try to type out the recipe in the description box below. It may not look like a professional recipe because I'm just going to type out what I did in steps, I guess. But I'll leave something down in the description box showing you what I did or telling you what I did. So thank you again for joining me. And if you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up like. And I will see you next time. I'll probably do something tomorrow too. See ya. Bye.